Thursday, we've got 77 degrees, scattered clouds, but all in all, very nice day. Good day to be out on the golf course. It is Super Thursday with Chip Linus, along with Louie Herron. And Louie, you brought a very special guest. Always glad to have a special guest that you bring along. Who do we have today?
Thank you. We got Brad Duren. Again, he works with me at Louie Herron Toyota. He's one of my exemplary employees. I'm so glad to have him here. But more specifically, as it relates to this show, we want people that want to call in and get information on how to buy a car. And today we're talking about service and some myths about service. But Brad has 34 years of service and parts experience. So, I mean, I've got the guy. And when I say he knows more than me, I don't have any problem saying that. And he knows that he has a lot of experience. So, Brad has never been on the radio. So, as you're listening, everybody, his first time go around for Brad. So, you got to make him feel warm.
Wow.
But we got a caller or something, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And I think she is on the line right now. Been holding patiently.
Oh, nice.
Caller, are you with us?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, yeah, great. Well, you are on the air right now. We've got Brad Duren from Louie Herron Toyota in Milledgeville in the service department. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, Brad. My name is Candy, and I have a Porsche, and I'd rather not drive to Atlanta to get tires. Can I get them there?
We can certainly get you tires for any make, any model, pretty much any brand you desire. And we will.
All right, great.
And we will.
Well, I'd rather drive there than drive to Atlanta.
And we will meet or beat anyone's price. It's as simple as just bringing me the ad, and I'll meet it or beat it.
Well, I'm sure you'll be cheaper than Porsche, so.
Well, I would imagine. Good deal. Okay.
All right, well, thank you. Any other questions, caller?
No, that's it.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Hey, thank you for calling in.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Are you hearing that echo, Brad? You may want to move closer, just closer to the mic. So, all right. Well, Brad, I actually asked you, being that you do service every single day, why don't you just kind of open up and talk about what is like one of the number one things that constantly come up that friends, neighbors, community members, and customers that walk into the dealership that they feel is a detriment or maybe something that they don't want to go through when they go to a dealership.
The number one thing that people always seem to have in the back of their mind is that the dealership is always overpriced.
What about that, Chip? You've heard that before?
I've heard that before.
Now, let me ask you something, Chip.
Sure.
As a consumer, because obviously you don't do service and sales on a day-to-day, would you you understand that feeling? So why do you think that it would cost a customer more than go to like a local shop?
I would think so, just because the overhead be more.
Okay, that would be a good observation. Now, I will say, as it relates to that, Brad, the years you've been in it, you've worked independent shops, you've worked in Atlanta, you've worked in a lot of big stores. When you know personally that is not the case, what are some of the reasons that you know that it's not the case? Like, what do you do on a monthly basis to understand what's going on in your market? And I mean, how do you know that? If someone says that to you, how do you feel confident that that's not the case?
One thing we do every month is we call our local competitors and find out what they're charging. We want to be cheaper than they are.
Right.
And so we'll monitor that every month, adjust our pricing accordingly, and we rely on volume and not just a few customers.
Right. So when we're talking about a dealership is too expensive, and I think, Brad, would you agree that most car dealerships think the same way that you do when it comes to servicing with that volume mindset?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So basically, when you look at a service department, and Brad's referring to more specifically is most shops. I mean, a good best practice is and I think independent shops do the same thing. Is they'll do what we call a survey, Chip, and so they'll go around and we'll price out brake jobs, oil changes, alignments, all the basic operations that go on. Okay, you don't do it with everything, but you do your basics, and then you find out, okay, what is everybody charging? And then once you find that out, you make a determination. Okay, do we want to be lower? Do we want to be higher? And what Brad is saying, and I'm involved in this process with him, not so much anymore because we've kind of set the tone that we want to be we want to be the less expensive. I mean, even if it costs us a few dollars, because for a dealership, the thing that you have to remember as a consumer is if you can visit our shop, and if you've never bought a Toyota and you're another make or another model, and you drive a Buick or you drive a Chevrolet or a Ford or whatever, but you've never been to our shop, but you know that you want to check out our service department and we service makes and models that aren't specific to our brand, you've had the experience with us. If the price is better, the service experience was as good or better, and as you sit and wait, you may see yourself in a Toyota one day. So that's another thing that we think of. We want to drive as much traffic, and sometimes we look at it like it's almost like a form of advertising. Wouldn't you agree, Brad?
I agree completely.
It's almost like a form of advertising. If I do an oil change and I know that $24.95 is the price around town, and I'm at $19.95, I know I'm going to lose $3 or $4.
Yeah.
But if I can drive 30 more customers that have never been to our shop, and you lose $3 or $4, you chalk that up to advertising, and again, they can spread the word and so forth and so on. So that would be myth number one, and that's a big one, by the way. That dealerships are more expensive. Now, Chip, as we're going to a break, we've covered that. I think that was a pretty good explanation. But as a consumer now, I mean, because I want you to put your consumer hat on, is there anything else? Does that satisfy you as far as an answer, or is there still some element where you feel like the dealership?
I get that, and I guess what you're doing, like you've talked about before, buying you're looking at the whole picture, and so what you pay for an oil change, you may take the loss on that, or you may take the loss on the brake job because you're looking at down the road.
Well, again, and not to discredit any local shop. There's phenomenal local shops here in Greensboro and Eatonton. They're the great shop, good people. I know a lot of them actually. So not to discredit anything. They've got good operations. But one thing that we do at a dealership, and again, it doesn't have to be just Toyota. I believe most of the mindset is we have a lot more different profit centers. So when you got parts and you got sales and you got finance and you got service and so you know what, as a dealer, anybody who owns a car dealership, and Brad comes to me and says, "Louie, these tires. I mean, we're gonna get our head kicked in on this deal. We're gonna lose some money on this." You do the deal. You just do the deal, and that's why we talk about we'll match or beat, because it's so important that if I'm making money in a different area of the business, it can offset.
Yep.
So that's kind of the advantage I think we have, and so it's really, if people had an opportunity to look at our surveys, Chip, and see our price points, they'd freak out. And a good practice, which Brad and I, our facility's old and we're looking at building a new one, and one thing we really probably should work on, Brad, is post that survey. If we post our survey with our competitors, right, and our competitors have phenomenal prices, and then we have our prices that are the same or maybe $1 or $2 cheaper or whatever it takes, at least the consumer feels like, okay, that seems fair. So.
Gotcha.
So that's myth number one, and we'll come back with some more good myths that Brad will come up with.
All right. 5 myths of service. That's what we're covering today. If you've got a question to ask either Brad or Louie, happy to take it. 706-453-4140. 77 degrees, mostly clear skies. We've got the weather update and Supremes on the way next on Doc 103.9.